the idea of actually picturing a piece before you write the pitches and the rhythms, the music in a sense, is very important for architecture. And I strongly believe in architecture. I think music is just like every other kind of art. You wouldn't, an architect would not put down bricks and not know whether he's building a home or an office building. A sculptor would not sculpt a finger out of a 10,000-pound block of marble and say, I wonder who this is attached to, and keep going. They'd have plans, both of them. So I make my own plans. I draw them. What I do is I take an inch and take an 11 by 17 page, and I draw a line at the bottom, and every inch is 1 minute of sound. Then I start to write the piece in terms of tension and release. So in this particular concerto, since I had decided to write a cadenza and then the orchestra with the soloist in each category, you can see the cadenza in wood starts out and does things that are unpitched and pitched. And that's because I got a marimba, which is a pitched instrument, which is like a giant keyboard. And at the end of the marimba, the soloist has to affix all sorts of different resonating things in a kind of scale, but not pitch scale, from high to low. So they might have a wood block and a temple block and a coconut shell and something else, and finally log drums. And so they could play the marimba and then just go up and grab one of these non-pitched notes and come down, play passage on the non-script notes, then down to the pitched notes and back and forth. So this whole concept of being able to graph, this was unpitched, this was pitched, it was mainly accelerations, decelerations, or as fast as possible. Then I get to the movement with the orchestra. It has to have a different quality. So at the bottom, I wrote 4/16 notes. I say steady pulses. And instead of these crescendo diminuendos, abrupt crescendo, the much abrupt fortes, abrupt pianos. So I drew that out to a climax and came down. And then I have the orchestra playing a little bit as the soloist walks to the next place and stops them all with a big tam-tam and chime hit. And so the whole architecture goes. The highest point of this architecture is not the highest point of intensity, but it's when this melody gets played 2/3 of the way through the metal movement, the second movement. And I simply write melody, struck and bowed vibraphone. And that's the high point. But the other things may peak because of volume and intensity, but the high point is the beautiful pianissimo of this melody. So my graphs are very personal, and I do use them. And if necessary, like in the last movement, the discovery of the talking drum, I change them. It's a long process. I sometimes spend 8 months before I write a note, which is very nerve-wracking if you have a commission. But it's necessary to do, because without that, there's no structure to anything. Nothing comes back that was there before. Nothing develops to certain peaks and valleys. They just go up and down and up and down and up and down and end. But here you can really see what is the goal of this movement? How do I find that? How do I go to it? How do I come away from it?